So we're going to go ahead and pull them both up at the same time. Get your cup maybe halfway up in the air and just give it kind of a tap. Make sure you can knock off any loose soil that may be stuck to the bottom of the cup. Go ahead, and we're just going to gently set that in there for now. Leave that right where it is. Again, try to hold that upright in case there is any soil still left on it. You don't want to make a mess. Okay, so now we're going to come back over here. We're just going to set our cup, set it in the hole about halfway. Again, maybe give it a few taps. Take our rag, just wipe down the inside of your cup. One thing you'll notice here is that we use the Everwhite cup. These are nice because you can actually change these liners out. These are just a plastic insert. So they Everwhite. You can obviously, that's the name of them. You can continuously keep them white. You can replace these plastic inserts without having to replace your cup. Gently put that in the ground there. Now we're going to take our cup setter. We're going to put that in two different directions. We're going to have, we want to do it, offset it by about 180 degrees, 90 degrees, I'm sorry. And we're just going to go ahead and push that down. And we can give it a few taps in both directions. And you'll notice as we're putting it down, that'll give you an opportunity to see if your cup is going to be, if it's going to be square. If it's off just a little bit, you'll be able to kind of manipulate it with your cup setter. You'll notice I'm not really pounding on this too hard. We just want to gently get it into the ground. Make sure as we pull that up, we're pulling that straight up. We don't want to, again, impact the integrity of the edge of that hole. Okay, so last but not least, here we want to put our pin in, and you'll notice if you listen real close, you'll hear once the ferrule of that flagstick starts to actually make contact with the metal of that cup. What we're doing here is we're just trying to knock down any soil that may be left in the bottom of that cup. You hear that difference there in the sound? That's what we're looking for. That'll avoid making a mess inside the cup, and also avoid when a golfer goes to pull that cup out or that pin out, he doesn't bring the cup right with it. So listen for that sound. And then also keep in mind as we're putting our pin in, from a strategic standpoint, if we happen to be doing this in the middle of play, we certainly don't want to put that pin in while we still have to mend our cup over there. So if you have golfers that may be coming up near their shots towards the green, make sure you leave that out so they don't feel like they have the green light to go ahead and start hitting the ball while you're still working on the cup. Here, Research Farm, we haven't had golfers all summer, so we're pretty lucky. We're going to leave that pin right there. Again, you'll notice we want to make sure it's good and straight from two different directions. And that looks pretty straight to me, so we're going to leave that. If that were off just a little bit, you might be able to get away with just kind of tweaking your cup a little bit. You don't want to rely on that. You want to rely on actual setting the cup when you're cutting that cup, making sure you're good and straight. So there, we just want to go ahead and make sure our cup is still good and round, nice, clean, crisp edge. And then go ahead and wipe your flagstick down, remove any of your fingerprints or any of your debris you may have left behind. And if you're at a golf course where you actually change flags for red, white, and blue, or maybe an event where you're changing your flags, now would be the time to go ahead and do that as well. Okay, so our pin is set, or our cup is set over there. Now the most important part is probably what we're about to do right here, the actual mending of the plug. We want to go ahead, make sure we get this back down as far as it'll go. You'll be able to tell from this point if you're going to be high or low, and if you're high, you can go ahead and remove your plug. Remove some soil from the bottom of your plug. If it's low, you can go ahead and take some of your soil from your little soil bin here and go ahead and backfill it. We're pretty good. If you have the same individual setting cups all the time, it's pretty easy for those guys to maintain a consistent depth. So we feel like we're good here with our depth. We're going to go ahead and release our plug. Go ahead, take and set your cup cutter on top of your bin here. You don't want to get in the habit of laying that thing on the green, leave little indentations. And then we're going to go ahead. So now, as I mentioned, this is pretty critical here. First thing we want to do is go ahead and hold the screwdriver just like this. Give yourself an inch or two of room, screwdriver, ice pick, whatever it may be. And just go ahead and make one pass around the outside of that plug. Lift that edge up. Then do the same thing on the plug itself. We want to go ahead and lift that up Now again, keep in mind we're trying to kind of chew this area up just a little bit, so we're not too concerned about what it looks like right now. So now we've got our plug raised up, our green raised up. Now we want to go ahead and actually start stitching this back together, because again, remember, the goal is to be able to walk away from this and not be able to find it again. So now that we've got everything raised back up, we're going to go ahead and start stitching. Again, holding it about here, an inch or two up on the end of the screwdriver, and coming back and forth. And as you're coming back and forth, you want to go ahead and pinch those seams back together. So you notice there, I went around, I pinched all the edges here. The last thing we want to do here with this particular cup cutter, you'll see that it's got this piece on the end where it'll leave a little bit of a hole. We'll just go ahead and seal that back together as well. So again, we're done with our mending part. Now the very final step here is going to be to go ahead and just take a little shot of water, clean up any of your soil around the edge of your plug. Then go ahead and use the ball of your foot to go ahead and smooth that all back out. And as you're smoothing that out, you're going to be able to tell if you've got any high or low spots, and you can kind of manipulate that with the ball of your foot. Again, you don't want to get too carried away and have to put too much force on that, because just the resiliency of that green, it's going to bounce back sooner or later, and you just don't want to have any scalping or any low plugs. So again, the most important part we could probably say with the mending process is to make sure that we can walk away from that plug and in a day or two come back and not be able to find it.